Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Table Talk. I'm your host, Jake Combs, and tonight we're going to be taking a look at Warzone Ocatarius Book 2, Critical Mass. Now, this thing's going to fall down as soon as I move the supports away, so bear with me one sec. Alright, so I actually meant to do this video I believe about 2 weeks ago, but with us getting ready for the holidays, some things were shuffled around in the room where I keep all of my stuff to prep for the different episodes, and these things got misplaced for a little while, so I actually found them as of this morning, just in time to film when I realized that we hadn't gone over these yet. So first off, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the mission pack for Catastrophe. So this is a Crusade supplement. Now, depending on how you like to play, these come out in conjunction, so you can use them kind of together. But with them, you have like with this mission pack, if you are, someone that likes to play Crusade specifically and not the other game types, then really this mission pack is going to be what you're going to want to get. So that way you can play, this Warzone, but have it be the Crusade style. Now, one thing I always really enjoy about these mission pack books is really just the overall way that they've published them. We have our little kind of rubber band type thing for holding the book closed. You can also use it as a bookmark. Just in the middle where you're at, just slip it on there, and that way you can close it, and then it's a lot easier to keep your place instead of using an actual bookmark, because this is actually part of the book. It's the same with how most of the most of the hardcover books actually have the kind of the ribbons that are attached to use as bookmarks as well. And then the one thing I'm not sure about is I'm not sure the exact purpose of this flap right here. Like on the one side it says produced by the Warhammer Studio, but on the inside it doesn't have anything. Now I suspect that this is another form of bookmark. So like if you want to hold open a page so you don't lose it, and then have another page bookmark to refer to later, or going back and forth, doing this will make it easier to do that since you don't have two of the rubber bands. Then, so I know that a few weeks ago we covered the book 1 for Warzone Ocatarius. Now, so far out of the Warzones themselves, this is by far the one I'm the most interested in. And when we get to the end, towards the end of the video, I do have a prediction for what the next Warzone is going to be, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So as far as the mission pack goes, we go through a little bit of this kind of the overarching storyline. The fact that you have Tyranids, you have Orcs, you have Astra Militarum, you have Space Marines, Adeptus Sororitas. So I mean, you have a majority of the players in the when I say players, I mean factions. In this one war zone. So, it's going to be a pretty significant altercation. What I would like to see is with all these mission packs, if they were to somehow collate all of the results of the different crusades, the different missions that are done, like maybe do a ranked setting or a sponsored setting where that stuff is listed, so that way the players can affect the narrative. Now, I know that back with the Warhammer Fantasy Battles, there was a rumor that was kind of like what they were doing at the same time with Warhammer Fantasy Battles, and that the end times, with the way that ended, because of that, the events leading up to it, with Chaos players winning more often and winning the key points, that is actually why the world ended the way it did. Now, is that true or not? I don't know, because I did not participate in any of the games going on at the time, and I'm only going by what a couple of the store employees told me that were doing some events related to the end times and the big chaos incursion that happened right around then. And so if that actually was how it happened, then the players actually affected the overall story. And I feel like that with all of these war zones and crusades, this is all kind of gearing towards that kind of setup in the future. Now, with Broken Realms for Age of Sigmar, I honestly thought that was going to be the start of that for Age of Sigmar, and so I was wrong there. Now, most likely, this is going to be just like Broken Realms was, where we have these different things come out that affect some of the minutia of the different armies, but the overall story, it still progresses, but it's not affected by the players. So as far as the Crusade book goes, we go through a few pages of the lore, and then there's a section called Treachery and Honor. So basically what it says is, this mission pack offers an opportunity to pit your crusade against 2 or more opponents in multiplayer battles in which deals may be struck and alliances made. So, but in the end, there can only be one winner, which means that if you have like a 2-on-1 or a 2-on-2, and one team becomes the victor, then in order for it to finish, they then have to face each other with whatever they have left. I think that's a really cool dynamic, because you can have some of the more destructive forces, like in the picture that they have here, we see Tyranids and Orcs. It looks like they're fighting, but with them, they're both more like kind of the destruction Grand Alliance, and so would have kind of a similar mindset. So they wouldn't, at least I assume, I don't know if there's any lore to support this either way, or but with them there, them seeing other things to fight, they may necessarily not fight each other and just kind of go forward and fight what's ahead of them, and in that way work together, kind of as kind of an opportunity to progress, and then when their foe is dead that they're already going to be facing off against, then they see the next threat and that's them, and then they would face each other. But you could also see the same kind of thing where you could have 2 different Space Marine factions, or you could have Space Marines with Adeptus Astartes, or sorry, those are Space Marines, Adeptus Mechanicus or Adeptus Militarum, and have them working together, and then in the end have it be kind of maybe like a race to secure something, or with that option, they kind of typically have the same end goals, but it could be like say for instance, maybe the Space Marines believe that the commissar that's working for the Militarum could be corrupted, and so that's why they fight them, or something like that. Something to kind of fit the narrative of these battles, but more as a way to justify it. I know that the very first time I got into 40K, the way it was presented to me when like the very first time I went into at one of the local game stores, and the person there basically explained, because I wanted to understand, like, what do you do when you have two Space Marine players that want to play each other, and because they're the same overall army, and the way that they kind of explained it is, in those situations, it's kind of more of a war game, or they're taking revenge on some sort of betrayal, and so those fights would still happen. It's just they're less common than the overall fighting between the Imperium and like orcs, or the Imperium and Chaos, Tau, Eldar, whatever. And so we do have in the Treachery and Honor there's a Treachery and Honor stratagem section and agendas, so that way you can go through and you have those stratagems to help boost your team or help them in some manner. One of them is more honorable and one of them is more treacherous, and so then it just depends on which one you're using to determine how many command points you're using. And then, like, so as an example, the very first one is Stand Firm. Basically, that's one of the honorable stratagems. And so you use it in the morale phase, and after a morale test is taken for an honorable unit from the army is passed, until the end of the phase, each time a morale test is taken for another unit, if it's within 6 inches of that honorable unit before the morale test is taken, you can choose for that morale test to be automatically passed. So as no matter how many units are near that one honorable one, it looks like the way I'm reading it is that they would all get to automatically pass it. So I could see that being quite beneficial, where you might have, like, as an example, like one of the Saints in your army, and the fact that they're an honorable unit and everyone's looking up to them, the people that are less honorable working for them are more inspired in their presence, and so that type of thing really makes sense as far as a stratagem that you would use. Now, one of the treacherous ones is a subtle undermining. So you use it at the start of the opponent's turn. You select one character from that player's army that is within 12 inches of a treacherous unit from your army. Until the end of the turn, aura abilities that character unit have a range of 1 and cannot be modified. So basically, it's a way to limit the effectiveness of your enemies. So, like, out of the two different types that we have here, just going off of those two alone, me personally, I would do more of the treacherous stratagems, because I like to weaken the foe more than strengthen my troops, because usually, most of my armies are going to be based on kind of more of in mass, more numbers, and so having the fact and being able to decrease the stats or the abilities of your enemy means that now when they attack, it's going to be a little bit easier. And then from there we go into the Crusade Mission section, and in here we do see the Black Templars going off against some of the Beast Nagas. And then we go through several missions. And so you go through them consecutively, 1 through 6 for the first set. Looks like 1 through 6 for each one as you go through. Now, I really got to say, I love the artwork here. I mean, the orcs there, they look like the orcs from the kill team for Ocatarius. And then the new the Black Templars being there, with all of the recent Black Templar releases, it makes sense that they would be so prominent in the artwork here. Now we're going to go ahead and just take a quick look at one of the incursion missions. This one specifically is Headhunt. So basically, character units from your army can attempt so they can do data recovery as described in the core book. You also have download data action. One character from your army can start to perform this action at the end of their movement phase if it's within 1 inch of an objective marker. And then objectives are, you have progressive objective, which at the end of each player's turn, the player whose turn it is scores 10 victory points for each of the following conditions. They control 2 or more objective markers, a unit from their army completed the download data action, and an enemy character unit was destroyed this turn by an attack made by a unit for their army. So that means that every turn you have the chance of getting 30 victory points. And I know that if your army's painted, that gets you victory points as well. I don't know if it's each turn or if it's for the entire game, because it's been a while since I've looked at that rule. And then you also have, under data recovery, the end game objective is players score 10 victory points for each objective marker they control. The victory bonus can select 2 units from their army, the victor can select 2 units from their army to be marked for greatness after the battle instead of just 1. So basically means that, 2 of your characters are then going to be more improved for the next mission, which in this one goes into Race to Recover. So I'm going to go ahead and flip forward a little bit. You see some more, see a lot more missions there. And then we go into, let me get the exact page. So the basic rules. So these are updates to the actual rule set for the game, including special rules for some of the different factions. And then an explanation of how to read data sheets, the battle round. So this is mostly the overall rules for the game itself for 40K. So that way you have it more information contained in fewer resources. So that way, you're not having to pull, your big rule book, this book, the Warzone book as well, and what in your codex. The more things that you have to reference and research, that type of thing is going to bog down your game. So if you're able to keep it all in one self-contained area, it's going to make things much easier. Now, just flipping through, one thing I did notice is these fantastic looking statues. I mean, those things look great. I don't know that I've ever seen those before, especially the one with the skull mask. I'm curious to see where that came from, because I definitely would like to paint one. I know that we have some of the Age of Sigmar statues that are similar to that in design, and I still need to get them built so I can get them started to be painted. And so definitely some cool stuff there to look at, as well as kind of refresh yourself. And then let's see, I know with the previous one there was some, oh actually that was in the bigger book, not the Crusade book. So that's basically it for the Crusade book. Now for Warzone Ocatarius book 2, we do have book 1 as well. Now I believe I was saying this earlier, or at the very least I was just thinking it, but with Warzone Ocatarius, out of all the war zones that they've released, it's the one I'm personally the most interested in, more because not the setting itself, but because with Kill Team featured in Ocatarius, the terrain that came with it is absolutely fantastic. I love it. I'm still looking forward to getting it built now that we've done our review, and I want to go back and actually get the terrain built too, so that way we can use the actual true setting. And with the Warzone Ocatarius books, you can easily use that same terrain for this Warzone and have it absolutely fit the aesthetic, because it matches with Kill Team Ocatarius, and then making sure that you kind of go along those lines. You can even paint your armies and the terrain to match this area. So with Warzone Ocatarius, we go into a bit of the lore about the Warzone itself, and so that's going to take a big chunk of the book. Now, one thing I thought was kind of funny is this orc that we have on the cover. I'm not sure how well you guys can see that, but the first time I looked at it, like, my eyes weren't seeing the orc. Like, I just saw these kind of giant horns coming out of his chest, and then as well as the horns like closer to his head. And I thought it was like a Gorgon from Age of Sigmar, but covered in armor, so like maybe something to go in line with the Beast Nagus. So when I first saw the picture, I thought it was going to give us a new Beast Naga unit that we hadn't seen yet. And then when I finally took some time and examined the image, I finally saw those horns and that it's really an orc and some really big armor. Now, so back to the book, going through the lore, that ends on page 33. So it's a big significant chunk of the book is dedicated to this lore. So that's setting up the setting, kind of setting up exactly what to expect from that world. Now, depending on the worlds, I would hope that some of these are going to also offer like some kind of environmental effects that would be ravaging you during that time. And then under campaign rules, with the previous books, those campaign rules sections gave us changes to the existing rules or new rules for a lot of the different factions that were involved in that war zone. And so, even though if you're playing in that war zone, you can use pretty much any army in that war zone, but not all of them are going to have changes to their rules related to this war zone. And then it even has some rules in here for Crusade as well. Let's see, let's go ahead and look at phase 1 for this legendary mission and just see if there's any that match that. So, with the Crusade missions, I'm curious if any of them do match, because if they do, then that means you don't necessarily need one when you have the other. Alright, so far it looks like all of those different missions are unique to this book, and so this one also has unique missions as well. And then from there we go into the army rules. So specifically this is affecting the Astra Cartographica, the Codex Supplement, Blood Axes, so the Blood Axes are in an orc army. Then you also have the Speed Freaks mob as well. Now the Astra Cartographica, they are, looks like they're affiliated with Rogue Traders. So to kind of give you an idea, here is an image of some of those characters. Now all of these characters are actually available or at least were available in Blackstone Fortress, or their related expansions. So here's the Codex supplement for the Blood Axes themselves. And even has some example paint jobs of them as well. And then we go into the Crusade Rules section, which once again uses a Blackstone Fortress hero for the image. It even has some rules for looted vehicles, looted wagons, mech job, heavy wagon, battle fortress. So definitely things that will help improve your armies. But anytime you get like one of those special kind of rules added, there's usually going to be something there that can take its place. So it can definitely negatively affect you. But I believe I forgot to mention this. These items were sent to us by Games Workshop for the purpose of our video and then our future article discussing the war zones. And so something to look forward to. And then other than that, I just wanted to say thank you guys always for watching. I really do appreciate it. Also, for anyone in the East Valley of Arizona, our friends over at Games U, they have a lot of really great items to choose from that would work for a lot of our fellow nerds, stocking stuffer ideas. Like, they have actually just received a huge shipment of new dice options that you can pick from. They also had excuse me. They also have that. What's really one thing I really like is it's got this little kind of box that's called Dice Jail, and so it actually has bars like kind of the old classic like prison wagons kind of look, or prisoner wagons rather, and so with that. The idea is that if you use the same dice regularly and one of them just consistently always rolls bad, like for an example, I had a friend that anytime that he rolled a d20, he typically failed his roll because it was usually quite low. And so with this, it was I apologize. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, that's going to bug me. Yeah, I've completely lost what I was trying to say. So I do apologize about that. But now, as far as the future of kill teams, the future of war zones are concerned, my prediction is going to be based on the kill team releases. So both of these war zone books, the most recent ones, were tied to Ocatarius, and then the most recent series of kill teams started with Ocatarius. The new one is Chalnath, and so because of that, I'm expecting this to actually be replaced by that other one. So when I say that other one, I mean Chalnath specifically. So I'm predicting that next Warzone is going to be Chalnath to match the kill team releases, and with the future kill teams, because we're going to basically get a new one every 3 months according to the schedule that they posted. And so with that, by the time we get to that point, we have the full book for that war zone with any additional rules and changes and things like that. So definitely something to watch out for. But again, that's it for tonight. Thank you guys as always for watching. Like I said, I do appreciate it. And then other than that, you guys have a great night. Thank you.